Hearts and hearts, lots of hearts. Check it out. Aren't they cute? Come on and let's watch how to make these pretty little crochet hearts. So let's look at the size of this heart before we get started so you'll know the size of your project. Each of these little squares here on my measuring table is 1 inch by 1 inch. The measurement of this heart is 2 3/4 inches wide and 2 3/4 inches in height. That's the size of that little heart. So let's get started and I'll show you how to crochet up this little heart. These are the items that we're going to use in our project today. I found these cute little skeins of yarn at Hobby Lobby. The brand of these is called Yarn Bee. They were only 99 cents a skein. It's 65 yards of yarn, 100% acrylic at a medium 4 weight. It calls for, in the United States, a size J10 6mm hook, and in the UK that's the same as a size 4 hook. This one is red in color. And we have a hot pink, a purple, and a regular pink. I have my size J crochet hook. I have a yarn needle for sewing in those yarn tails, some scissors, and I always keep a couple of crochet row markers on hand. And before I get started, I wanted to show you, I was practicing and trying to perfect the pattern before we did the video, and I tried out several different weights of yarn and several different sizes of crochet hooks. This one I did the heart out of a 3 lightweight yarn and a G hook, so you can see how small it is compared to these other two. It's the same pattern I used, and the weight of the yarn and the size of the hook changed the size of the heart. This one is a size 4 weighted yarn, and this one is a 4 weight yarn also. I just changed my hook size. One I used a J and one I used a K. And you can see they're slightly different in size just because of the size of hook that I used. Now this is the same exact pattern for these smaller hearts, except this one is made out of the Bernat baby blanket yarn, and I used a much larger hook size. Next time I make a baby blanket, I'm going to put this on there as a little applique onto that baby blanket. Look how cute that is. But let's get started and I'll show you how to make these cute little hearts. The first thing that we're going to do to make the heart is make a magic loop, and the way I do that is I use my 2 fingers, let my yarn tail hang in front of it, and I'm going to wrap it over and around, where on the top of my fingers, as you can see here, I've made an X. And I have my working yarn just tucked over here and hanging, and my tail is hanging down here. Okay, I'm going to take my crochet hook and I'm going to stick it under this first loop of yarn, and I'm going to grab, that's my working yarn back here, it's attached to my skein of yarn. I'm going to grab it and pull it up through, and when I do that, this is my working yarn, I'm just going to take it, yarn over, and pull it through that loop that's on my hook, and it's going to make a chain. And what you've done is secured off that loop. This loop is sort of like a slip knot. It can slide and adjust in size, and I'll show you here in a second. Now this working yarn here attached to my skein of yarn, I'm going to go ahead and get it on my fingers, get that tension going, and I like to pull this magic loop up a little bit more to get it a little bit smaller. To me it makes it easier to work with, so I can hold it here with my thumb. And now I've already chained one, now I'm going to chain another one and then one more. So I've got 3 chains already. That is going to act as a double crochet. Into the top of this last chain that I made, that's where we're going to finish off when we go our round. This is going to be just like the beginning of a granny square is what we're going to do. So we're going to go all the way around and connect into that third chain that we just made. Let me go ahead and get my yarn back on my hand, get my tension a little bit tighter, and hold on to that magic loop that I've made, and I'm going to put a double crochet. So yarn over, put your hook into that middle of that loop that you made, yarn over and pull it through, and we're going to do a double crochet. So yarn over and pull it through both the first two loops, yarn over and pull it through the second two loops. That's a double crochet. Now you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to put 3 double crochets in a row right into the middle of that magic loop that we made. So there's 1, and we're going to yarn over and do another double crochet. There's number 2, and there's number 3. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to put 3 more double crochets right into the middle of that magic loop. So there's 1, and there's 2, and there's 3. Now I'm going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to put 3 double crochets into that magic loop. So 1, 2, and there's number 3. Now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to put 1 more double crochet into the middle of that magic loop. And here's where we're going to join to our third chain that we made in the beginning. And we're going to join it with a slip stitch right into that chain stitch. Don't go in the space, go into the stitch. To know you're in the stitch, you've got 2 pieces of yarn on the front of your hook, and you've got 1 piece of yarn on the back. So that's how you know you're right in the middle of that stitch. So you're going to do a slip stitch. So yarn over and pull your hook through that stitch. You should have 2 loops of yarn on your hook, and you're going to just take that first loop of yarn and pull it through the second loop. That's a slip stitch. Now you've made your square. So we're going to take our yarn that's on the back that we have in the middle of our magic loop here, and we're going to draw it up. So hold your yarn tail, and you're going to draw it up and pull it tight, and it's going to close off that loop where there's no space or hole in the middle of it. See? And we're just going to drop our yarn tail, and we're going to keep going. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to work our way around this granny square, this tiny little baby granny square that we've made, and we're going to form our heart. So in each corner you have a chain 3. We're going to go right into that second chain, and we're going to put a single crochet. And you need to make sure you go into the stitch. Like I showed you earlier. Sometimes because of those chains are so tight, I turn my crochet hook to the bottom of that stitch and use that little hook part to work my way into it. So you put your crochet hook right into that stitch, not in the space, in the stitch. You're going to yarn over and pull it back through. Oops. Let me try it again here. There you go. Yarn over and pull it back through. And we're going to make a single crochet. So yarn over and pull it through both loops of yarn on your hook. Now you're going to skip the next chain, and you're going to go into the double crochet, and you're going to put single crochets in the next 3 stitches below. So go into the top of that double crochet, skipping that chain, and we're going to put a single crochet. We're going to do single crochet into that stitch, into the next stitch, and into the next stitch. Now we're back to the corner. There's 3 chains, and into each of these 3 chains you're going to put a single crochet into the actual stitch. There's 1. Now I'm in the second chain, going into that stitch, and there's 2, and into the third one, into that stitch, and then, oops, draw my yarn back up, it kind of got a little loose there. Now we're back to, there's 3 double crochets in a row. We're going to put a single crochet into the top of each one. So there's 1, and the second one, and then here we are into the third one. Now we're back to a corner where there's 3 chains. You're going to skip that first chain, and then you're into the second chain, you're going to put a single crochet. Go right into the chain stitch. There's 2 loops of yarn on the top of your hook and 1 on the back. This one is a little tighter, so I want to, there we go. I had to work it with my fingers to get it in there. Single crochet. There. It's a little tight on those chains. Alright, now we've done a single crochet all the way down. This is the bottom of our heart here, the little pointy tip at the bottom. I've come all the way around. Now I'm going to make my humps here on the top of my heart. Right here in the top of that second double crochet, you're going to put 8 double crochets into the same space at the top of that stitch. Okay? And it's going to make it's a shell stitch. So there's 1, and here's number 2, here's number 3, and 4, and 5, here's 6, number 7, and then number 8. Okay. Now you've got your chain 3 right here. You're going to go into the second chain stitch of that chain 3, and you're going to do a slip stitch. So get your hook in there and do a slip stitch. Go right into the middle of that stitch. You're going to yarn over, pull it through. You have 2 loops on your hook, and you're going to just take that first loop and pull it through the second loop. That's a slip stitch. Now you've got all the way back around where you first started your second round. Right here in the top of that second double crochet, into that stitch you're going to put 7 double crochet. That chain that you joined here in the beginning, that's going to count as one of your double crochet. There'll be a total of 8. You're going to count that as 1, so you're going to do 7 more right into the top of that stitch where you started that chain 3. So you're going to do 7. So there's 1 and 2 and 3. Here's 4, 5, there's, oops, need to do that again. Yarn over. Okay, now there's 6. And there is 7. Now you got your chain 3 right here. And right here where you did that single crochet, once you chain 3 and you put a single crochet into the top of that single crochet, you're going to do a slip stitch. So put your hook through, you're going to yarn over and pull it through. Then you're going to take that loop on the front of your hook and pull it through the loop on the back of your hook. Now you're going to cut a yarn tail. Cut off from your working yarn. Then you're going to yarn over and pull that piece of yarn all the way through and fasten off. If you want to do an invisible join, you can do that. But now I'm going to take my yarn needle and I'm going to sew in my yarn tails. I'm going to take it. The way I like to do it on these little hearts is I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to go into the back of that single crochet and pull it through both of those loops, pull it through, and then I'm going to take my, and here's your single crochet right before, I'm going to go right into the middle of that stitch. And when I do, it's going to make it look like the top of a single crochet, see? Then I'm going to just take my yarn tail and just sew it right through the back of that heart. And then I'm going to just clip it off. And then you take this piece of yarn here and you can just use your yarn needle and you just sew it into the back of your heart just like you did the other yarn tail. And there's your heart. Cute as can be. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we'll see you next week with another video coming your way. Have a great day.